Now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, a real estate and finance expert, and goes to bat for you every day as your consumer advocate. Your host, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day, committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth centered around legal advice, law, credit, finance, estate planning, health, nutrition, and so much more. Over 80 categories now with the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we all want to help you win in any marketplace. That's the goal of our show. We're going to educate, entertain, enlighten, but most importantly, we want to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Now, I want you to pull out your smartphone, save our Consumer Advocate hotline number in your phone. At some point, you may need it. 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-917-1894. Don't forget our number. Bookmark our website, consumerqb.com. You can see links to all of our expert contributors. All of their contact information is at consumerqb.com. You can also watch our television version, our show version online as well at WeBeam TV or consumerqb.com/live stream. And we don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We're going to help you win. Let's go around the horn now, make our introductions. Intelligent Talk Radio. I've got some intelligent folks here in studio. And first up in seat number one here, we've got attorney Greg St. Jour, criminal defense attorney with St. Jour Law Firm. Welcome back in, sir.
Thanks for having me, Brendan. It's a pleasure to be here and just to educate your consumers. And today we're going to discuss House Bill 1063 and the impact on the consumers. Gregory St. Jour from the St. Jour Law Firm, big enough to represent you and small enough to care.
Love it, love it. Also, attorney Ahmad Yakzan, immigration attorney in the House, American Dream Law Office. Welcome in.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. One of them is the H-1B cap. This is attorney Ahmad Yakzan with offices in Tampa and in St. Pete, AmericanDreamLawOffice.com. I would love to help you. And as I did in the last two times, if you call us and reference a Consumer Quarterback Show, the first 5 people get a free consultation. That's a $200 value.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Also, rounding out our in-house expert contributor panel, we've got attorney Shawn Yesner, bankruptcy and real estate attorney here in Tampa Bay, YesnerLaw.com. Welcome in.
Yeah, thanks for having me back again. We need to figure out how many times I've been on. Do I get something when I get to 25 appearances, 50 appearances, something like that?
That's right.
I get a little plastic football. These are cool. I love these. So today we're going to be talking about bankruptcy, but more specifically student loans. Student loans are some of the biggest debt now. It comprises some of the biggest debt we have in our country, and we're making inroads into getting rid of it through bankruptcy court. There's a class action against Navient. So we're going to be talking about all about student loans and how to get rid of them.
Yeah, hey, great content lined up for you here today on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Also, the top 5 most controversial court verdicts of all times from Newsom.com. Interesting content there. And also, big shout out to our official hotel partner, Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora in beautiful St. Pete Beach. The first new hotel built on St. Pete Beach in decades. Spanish ancestry meets cool Mediterranean attitude. Whitewashed Mediterranean palace with expansive luxury suites overlooking the intercoastal waterway. And if you're a boater like me, I love to get out there on the weekends on Freedom Boat Club. Enjoy pulling it up. You can pull up your boat right there, hang out by the pool. There's a lobby bar. There's a pool bar, a restaurant on site, the Castile Restaurant. Wednesday night, our very own Gary Gilkey does the trophy up top there, trophy trivia. Wednesday nights, got to check it out. It's yoga on the weekends. But a great partner is the Hotel Zamora. We really appreciate that partnership. And got a hot new listing I want to let you know about here in Tampa Bay. Brand new market property to just hit the market. If you're looking to build, we got a lot of vacant land opportunities. I got 2606 North Valrico Road in Seffner, $1.79 million, 84 acres, prime developed lot, able to be built in East County at 2606 North Valrico Road, and also Rue de Lacs in Tarpon Springs. This is over an acre, and it's in a gated community. So anybody looking to build, or Platinum MVP Realty is our premier sponsor with the Consumer Quarterback Show. Now, we always start off with a little motivation, a little personal development. As you know, I'm a published author and a professional speaker as well. Check out our books on Amazon. But I got something great for you today, something that's going to hopefully inspire you and help you live a better life, and understanding that it's possible. You know, whatever that dream is that you have, it's possible, right? So Dr. Edward Banfield of Harvard did a 50-year study. He conducted a 50-year study into the upward social mobility and economic mobility into the United States and other countries. And he's wondering why, what is the reason why some people are able to move up the socioeconomic ladder and achieve success, and how it varies so much from one generation to the next. And starting at, some folks can start at laboring jobs and become wealthy in a lifetime. And why do others not succeed? So why does this happen to some and not others? Well, and also today in the United States, there's over 10 million millionaires as of 2015. And a Forbes 2015 article talked about there's 1,826 billionaires and 290 new billionaires in 2015 alone. So think about the opportunity that you have in the greatest country on the planet Earth here, and especially when you think about Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater. What a beautiful place to live, work, and play.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet.
And many of which started with nothing, and they were able to become wealthy in the one lifetime. 66% of those billionaires and millionaires we just talked about. So Banfield wanted to know what is the common denominator, and his conclusion was long time perspective. The longer time perspective that you have when you make decisions, and the better you can develop the discipline of clear thinking, is going to be the number one factor why some stay in the lower class, or some can move up to the upper class. He broke it down into 6 different categories. But the best example is when you're thinking only minutes away, some of the hopeless, you think about the hopeless drug addict or the hopeless drunk. They're just looking for that next fix or that next drink. But on the opposite side of that spectrum is when you have the prosperity and success generation after generation. These folks are thinking decades into the future. They're planning strategically and developing strategic plans and partnerships to think decades into the future and sometimes generations into the future. So the leader of the organization is tasked with that development of the future plans. And it's been said that most people overestimate what they can do in a year, yet they significantly underestimate what they can do in 5 years. So sometimes we want it to happen faster than it does. It reminds me of the Chinese bamboo tree story. It's a small nut, and you got to water it for 5 years, and then all of a sudden it busts through the ground and grows over 80 feet tall in 6 weeks. So that's the idea. That's what you want to do. Continue to develop those seeds, water those seeds, and keep that passion alive. Develop the attitude, have a positive perspective, and stay in that mode. And you want to think long term. So become what we think about in the end. So consumer quarterback tip for you from the Quarterback Show. And let's go ahead and jump into it. Attorney Greg St. Jour here, criminal defense attorney. What are you seeing out there?
Well, there's been a lot going on in Florida as far as criminal defense, especially with coupled with immigration. We've been getting a lot of calls from people as far as ICE pulling people over without probable cause. And basically trying to round up people that they believe might be illegal. And in Florida and the United States, in order for an officer to pull someone over, there must be probable cause to start that interaction. And in a lot of places, especially Southwest Florida, we're getting a lot of that in your Immokalee area, Fort Myers, and that's something that we've been getting a lot of calls about that. We've been dealing with a lot of people about that. I know I've been working with other attorneys in Fort Myers, Lee County, Collier County area to find a way to go about that. And I'm sure with the immigration attorney here, he can probably discuss that in details. I'm not sure if you've come across some of these situations. But, that's one thing we want to talk about. Also, we have House Bill 1063 that's making its way through the legislature right now. And it's going to affect everyone in the state of Florida. And a lot of the consumers, they're not bringing any input into that. It's something mostly between the lawyers and the advocacy groups. And a lot of people, they're not aware of it and how we can affect them. And it can
what is that bill about?
Well, basically what it is, Florida, there's a mandatory PIP statute, 10,000. If you get injured, you go to the hospital, you go to the doctor, It's no fault. Your own insurance company will cover you for wage loss and medical bills up to $10,000. Right now, they're trying to eliminate that in order to combat fraud and make it mandatory BI, which will be $25.50. Now, what that does is with BI, in order for you to get it, you have to establish liability and all this hoopla.
Wow.
But in the meantime, you can't work, you're injured, and none of your bills are being paid.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's important to make sure you get checked up. If you have that accident, you got to get checked up. Give us a call on our hotline, 813-917-1894. That's why you want to save that number in your phone, because at some point you may need it. That's our Consumer Advocate hotline, 813-917-1894. You can call or text that line. More from attorney Gregory St. Jour. We've got Ahmad Yakzan, immigration attorney, in the house. Shawn Yesner, bankruptcy law, real estate law, and more from our expert contributors. We're also going to talk about the top 5 most controversial court verdicts of all times here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace. Stay with us. Do not touch that dial. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
Don't forget, Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Visit realestateradiotampa.com or text the word VALUE to their consumer advocacy hotline at 813-917-1894. Call Brandon today, 813-917-1894.
right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show. Big shout out to our official restaurant partner, Hula Bay, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. We love going down there and enjoying a beautiful waterfront ambiance, excellent food, wide variety on the menu, and the best sushi in all of Tampa Bay. The sushi is brought in fresh from Hawaii every 2 days. It's shipped in fresh tuna over at Hula Bay, the official restaurant partner. Now, make sure you let Todd, the general manager, know that the real estate quarterback sent you, and he's going to hook you up with that free water with lemon we always joke about here on the show. So have a little fun with you on the Quarterback Show, and let's go around the horn now. We're talking with attorney Gregory St. Jour, criminal defense attorney, St. Jour Law Firm. We also have attorney Ahmad Yakzan in studio, immigration attorney, American Dream Law Office, and attorney Shawn Yesner, bankruptcy and real estate attorney, YesnerLaw.com. He's got a Crushing Debt podcast as well, very popular podcast as well here in Tampa Bay. We're going to also talk about the top 5 most controversial court verdicts of all time, and we're jumping right back into it. And as you know, I'm the owner of Platinum MVP Realty. I want to let you know about a hot listing that Mary on our team has. She's got 900 Raphael Boulevard in Northeast St. Petersburg. Hot area for the real estate market. $450,000, and it's only been on the market about 10 days or so, and it's a great opportunity at 900 Raphael Boulevard. And check out our website, consumerqb.com, links to all of our expert contributors, links to our real estate listings, and our hotline number is 917-1894. Welcome to my house. 813-917-1894. Any questions, comments, concerns, pull out your smartphone, shoot us a text or a call, and we promise to get back to you before our head hits the pillow. All right, let's jump right back into it. Gregory, attorney Gregory St. Jour, criminal defense attorney here. So let's pick up where we left off. A lot of confusion out there. A lot of people are saying, hey, they're seeing some interesting things happen. It's funny you mentioned Fort Myers, Immokalee area. I grew up over in LaBelle, just the next county over. And, so that area you're saying is somewhat of a hotbed for that.
Well, definitely. It's a lot more. There's a lot more of that going on in that area than I would say in the Tampa Bay area, but it's also prevalent in this area. And I think the reason for that is there's a lot of farming in your Fort Myers area, Immokalee, Naples, LaBelle.
Yep.
And because of that, a lot of those businesses, they rely heavily on immigrants to help the business. And right now we're seeing a lot of people being pulled over with no probable cause. The officer, they'll just pull them over and ask to see their ID. And if they don't have it, of course, now, they find themselves in deportation proceedings.
Oh, man.
The problem is, we have a constitution. You can't just pull someone over if they look like they're an immigrant.
Right.
There's you have to have a reason before you can start that encounter as an officer. Either the person run a red light or, change lane. Some sort of violation has to happen to provide probable cause.
Right.
But we've seen people just in a parking lot and an officer will approach the vehicle. If they see any truck that look like there's someone that's, going to work, coming from work, and it's just a lot of profiling that's going on.
Right.
And, being an attorney, a lot of time when we get involved, it's on the back end where the violation has already happened.
Right.
So it's hard to counsel people on what they need to do to protect themselves when they're not doing anything wrong. They're
Right.
just being, their rights are being violated just for looking a certain way. And, as a criminal defense attorney, we have to help them on the criminal side of the case. Then there's the immigration aspect of the case now that, this situation will bring about. And I'm sure Attorney Cosman can probably discuss that a little bit with us if he's having any cases like that, how he approaches those type of cases.
Right. So if you do get pulled over and you don't know what to say, just don't say anything at all, right? Basically just comply.
Yeah, well, basically, if they ask you for your ID, your ID, your insurance card, that's it. But beyond that, you don't want to say anything, because most of the time when they pull you over, when they're asking you questions, it's for an investigative purpose, and
Right.
anything you say can and will be used against you. So you don't want to say anything besides providing, your driver's license and your insurance card if that's requested. But beyond that, where you going, where you coming from, things like that, you don't have a reason to get into any details with the officer at the scene.
Yeah, just where you coming from? Well, we were just Netflix and chilling, just Netflix and chill,
Yeah.
Don't say I was at the bar, just keep it kind of cool.
Yeah, you weren't at the bar and you weren't texting or anything like that. Just protect yourself.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and bring attorney Ahmad Yakzan into the conversation. You seeing some of this as well?
Oh, a lot of it. I actually just co-counsel with a friend of mine on a federal case, and the lady actually got rear-ended, and she got arrested and placed in a federal case in the Middle District because she's an illegal reentry.
Wow.
And we did that case, and we're still fighting in the court. But Craig, is alienage one of the questions that they're actually allowed to ask you?
Is what?
Alienage. Are they allowed to ask you if you're a U.S. citizen or not in Florida?
That's not something they're supposed to ask,
Okay.
but that's something they're asking now. And a lot of time, by the time you've gotten to the point where you've incriminated yourself, you've put yourself in a hole.
Yeah.
Okay, because my lady actually produced an ID from her consulate, and that's how the officer actually knew that she's not a U.S. citizen, and then that snowballed and negatively affected her life, and that's one thing. I mean, you can talk to an immigration attorney, as I said before.
Right.
You can talk to an immigration attorney to see how you can help yourself and stop yourself from being arrested. But I think there is a big constitutional issue. I know the president and the administration has been talking about sanctuary cities and all that stuff, and I think St. Pete now is a sanctuary city.
Let's define that. Because there's some confusion around what is a sanctuary city.
Well, a sanctuary city is a city that says we're not going to actually honor detainers. We're not, because what usually happens is when you get detained from a traffic spot, for example, stop when the policeman actually stops you. What they're going to ask you is, are you a U.S. citizen? Again, I would say not to answer that question. But sometimes they also can look at your ID, and if you don't know this, if you're not a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident of the United States, under the Real ID Act of 2005, you're going to have a temporary stamp on your driver's license. So what is that going to do? The officer is going to know that you're not a U.S. citizen. So if you're not a U.S. citizen, you get arrested. What the federal what is supposed to happen is that the San PPD or someone is going to say, hey, we have this guy in jail. Do you want to come pick him up? And within 3 days, ICE is going to come and say, hey, yeah, we do want to pick him up, or we don't pick him up. Right. I think there is a big constitutional question with detainers, and a lot of the immigration lawyers have actually said that for years. I think there's a big 10th Amendment argument here to say, you can't federalize local PDs to actually enforce immigration law, and there is a big case from the Supreme Court that says that you cannot coerce localities and states, and you cannot coerce them by saying we're going to take away funding if you don't do what we're asking you to do. And the county of Los Angeles now is actually suing the federal government over that executive order.
Yeah, I guess what was it, San Bernardino, or there was something that happened in a sanctuary city a while back, or was it San Francisco maybe?
Probably.
And there was someone that got murdered, and then that person was actually extradited back to whatever country they came from. I don't recall.
I think it was Mexico.
I want to say Mexico too. Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of the pushback is coming from on the opposite side of this conversation is, if that's the way a sanctuary city is going to operate, and they're utilizing funds from federal funds, is that what the argument is?
Well, that's what I don't like generalizing. I really don't. I meet clients that honestly you would want them to be, if you've met the clients that I have sometimes, you would want them to be U.S. citizens, because I don't know if I mentioned this before. I represented someone in immigration court who would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, not come back until 11 o'clock at night. He put 3 U.S. citizen children into college.
Yeah.
His wife was, had some health problems, and he nursed her back to health, and he stuck with her.
No
and they've
doubt,
been together for 40 years.
No
I mean,
doubt.
that's the person. And no one is going to tell you to keep a killer over here. I would not Actually, I would love to get the cases because that defense will be a good case for me. It's Greg would know that. But no one is saying that you're supposed to actually keep murderers in the United States. And that's, per capita immigrants actually have a very much lower criminal conduct than native-born United States citizens.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is don't generalize. That's
I agree.
And there are a lot of good
what
immigrants.
And that's what happens. Yeah. And again, from where I'm from, we saw a lot of great people that would come in. They would help, with the local economy. They would help, with the production of a lot of the vegetables, the fruits, and those are great people. They were, working into the community, and definitely. So I understand where you're coming from on that. And I just when we look at this issue, you think about a sanctuary city. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about these sanctuary cities, and we'll also go over this top 5 list, the top 5 most controversial court verdicts of all times here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Intelligent Talk Radio. We're helping you understand more about immigration law, criminal defense law, real estate, and bankruptcy law. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Jarek Robbins. You are listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Please do what it takes to learn all that you have to live the life you want to live it fully, and find a way to give it by paying it forward to others.
Don't forget, Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Visit realestateradiotampa.com or text the word VALUE to their consumer advocacy hotline at 813-917-1894. Call Brandon today, 813-917-1894.
right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show. Former USF football player, played on the inaugural football team, longtime quarterback on a lot of my teams, and now we're quarterbacking transactions. We're quarterbacking introductions for all of our listeners out there, helping you win in any marketplace. I want you to think about this show as the hub of your financial, your business, your health, and finance will. And each spoke extending out represents another one of our preferred partners, our on-air expert contributors. Over 80 show partners now with the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we all want to help you win no matter what you're facing. We've vetted these folks. They come on the show. They are expert contributors. They're going to help you understand more about things happening in your life and be a resource for you. So we want you to save our hotline number in your phone. It's 813-917-1894.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.
813-917-1894. Call or text that number. Any questions, comments, concerns? You got consultation offers here as well, and we're going to talk about some of those offers as well coming up. But in studio today, we've got we're talking currently with attorney Ahmad Yakzan, immigration attorney. In the first segment, we heard from Gregory St. Jour, criminal defense attorney, and we're going to hear from Shawn Yesner more as well about bankruptcy loans and what's happening in the student loan space. But I want to turn it back over to attorney Ahmad Yakzan here and just kind of talk a little bit more about where we left off there.
So we were talking about sanctuary cities, so and Greg talked about protecting yourself. Honestly, that if you're undocumented in the United States right now, especially if you have a criminal background, one of two things should happen: call a criminal attorney or call an immigration attorney. I have a great, Greg is one of my referral sources. I refer business to him. He sends business to me. I send him criminal cases. He's gonna know that to call an immigration lawyer and says, hey, can we help this guy? Is there a way that we can help this guy? A lot of times we can try to reopen the criminal case that you had a very long time ago, and try to see if you have some relief from removal or from deportation, and make sure that if we apply for some sort of relief, especially with criminal background, that you're gonna be okay and you're not gonna be in immigration court.
Yeah.
Call an immigration or a criminal lawyer ASAP if you have that background.
Be proactive.
Be proactive. Have someone on retainer that have their business card. If you get stopped, that's the first person that you should talk to the immigration officer. Say, hey, I have an attorney you need to call.
Right.
And usually that's a good thing, because they're going to know that you have representation, and we're going to try to help you.
Yeah, you got to be proactive. These things, it's something that's really a hot topic in the news right now. The media cycle's talking a lot about it, and we've got two of the best in the Tampa Bay market here to help you win. And let's go ahead and bring Shawn Yesner in. And Shawn, general comments, anything on that note?
Immigration related or criminal law? No, I agree with Ahmad, though. And I would say really call any of us, because I don't handle criminal law. I don't handle immigration law. And so if you're a listener and you're concerned about what's happening, reach out to an attorney, reach out to Brandon, reach out to the network that we have here, and we'll get you to the right place wherever it is you need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were, Ahmad, you were going to talk about the different types of visas and the different types of, you said which one?
There's an H-1B visa that you can get. And the H-1B program has been in trouble for a very long time. Congress wants to take away the H-1B program. Some people who are opposed to immigration, that's what they want to do. I have an affinity for the program, because that's how I got my start in the United States after graduating from law school. I got an H-1B. At the time, we were in a recession. The numbers were available. Actually, it was almost available year-round. So I got in, got my visa, got my green card, and that's how I am in the United States.
Yep.
The problem is we only have 85,000 visas in the United States. So what is the United States doing now? We have 20,000 visas for someone who has a master's degree, and someone who has 65,000 for people who have only a bachelor's degree. So what do? All the people who graduate from the United States, this is their first step into staying into the United States. They go to school here, they get masters, they get PhDs, and then we tell them, see you guys later. We don't have visas for you. Yeah, and that's really a big problem that we have. I mean, I have 2 clients right now. I'm waiting to know their future is dependent on a lottery.
Wow.
Because the government receives so many petitions, they're literally gonna put gonna put your name into a computer, and they're gonna figure out if you get a visa number or not.
That's tough, man.
And that's terrible. It really is. And a lot of European countries and Canada are taking these graduates with happy hands. We'll take you, because you can get a green card, you can get permanent residence, a landing immigrant in Canada. Once you have a bachelor's degree, because they have that point system. So.
Well, I know, many times we've had Mayor Bob Buckhorn on the show, St. Petersburg Mayor Rick Kreisman, Clearwater Mayor George Kretikis, and when they come on the show, what they talk a lot about is not only we're looking to create great jobs here, but we're also looking to recruit that young talent, those bachelor's degrees you just spoke of, those master's degrees you just spoke of, especially in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and math. That's a big part of what builds a local economy. It builds a local tax base. And it helps build, the infrastructure that we have here. So that's a great point you make.
STEM graduates actually get a little bonus because they get their work permits after they graduate for a very long time. But what we're talking here about very highly skilled jobs in STEM and other jobs. It's not this is not the person going in a truck to pick up the vegetables or anything. It's people with a specialty. You have to prove that you're getting a specialty occupation, which requires at least a bachelor's degree for you to get one of those 85,000 visas.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Trump organization uses those visas.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
I mean that's how good they are. So I think we need to expand those numbers. That's what we need.
Hey, it makes sense. It makes sense.
And the numbers ran out in less than a week this time. I mean,
Wow.
April 3rd was actually the deadline. The first day they would accept them. I got an email a couple of days ago. We're out of visas.
Wow, unbelievable. Quarterback Show here. If you just joined us, Brandon Rhymes here, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're talking in studio today. We've got attorney Greg St. Jour. We've got attorney Ahmad Yakzan, immigration attorney, and Shawn Yesner as well. Attorney Shawn Yesner here, bankruptcy and real estate attorney, YesnerLaw.com. Shawn, when that's interesting to hear from Ahmad when you look at the graduation rate, you look at the bachelors, the masters, those types of folks wanting to stay, and then there's a correlation. Let's talk about student loans. We talk about student loans into the mix. Now some people are talking about that as being a next bubble in terms of student loans and potential bankruptcy.
Yeah, I think it absolutely is the next bubble, and it's a really good segue. So you get all the education, and then how do you repay that education? How do you repay the loans you took out to get all of that education? It is one of the biggest debts that we have. It is one of the. I do agree with you. It's probably going to be the next bubble. And so, I actually have a friend of mine, another attorney friend of mine. I interviewed her on my podcast. She was episode 50 of the Crushing Debt podcast back towards the end of February. She had a client who filed bankruptcy, Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Orlando. And he had student loans from attending a medical school in the Caribbean. From what I understand, there's 1 million different medical schools in the Caribbean. Maybe not 1 million, but a lot of medical schools, unaccredited medical schools over in the Caribbean. And so he attended one of these schools, ran up a whole bunch of debt, came back to the U.S., couldn't find opportunities to work because he did not go to an accredited school, found himself in a situation where he had to file bankruptcy. In order to eliminate your student loan in bankruptcy, you got to file what's called an adversary proceeding. That's a lawsuit within the bankruptcy case. And so he did, and they took it before a judge, and they actually won. So they made a little bit of inroads into getting that student loan discharged. I'll read you a little bit of the decision here. The student loans extended to the debtor were private student loans, not made, insured, or guaranteed by the government to attend an unaccredited foreign medical school. Therefore, defendants' loans are not student loans that should be accepted from discharge pursuant to the Bankruptcy Code, nor are defendants' loans qualified educational loans, as that term is defined by the Internal Revenue Code. Basically, what the judge is saying is that, yes, these loans can be discharged.
Wow.
And the judge ruled that these loans should be automatically discharged. So that was a case over in Orlando. If it gets appealed, assuming it's going to get appealed, let's see, that decision was on March 23rd. So they got another couple weeks here to file. They got 30 days to file an appeal. If they file an appeal, it goes up to Atlanta, and then Atlanta decides. And whatever the appellate court in Atlanta decides governs all the cases here in Florida, as well as Atlanta, Georgia, and Alabama. So
that would set precedent on future trials.
It would set precedent, and even if this doesn't get appealed, it sets precedent right now because it's an Orlando case. So if we have someone living in Tampa with similar circumstances, we can still cite to that Orlando case. It's not binding precedent. It's what we call persuasive precedent. So
Right.
judge should follow it, but doesn't have to.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Interesting content there. And student loans are kind of a interesting topic in general. When we come back, let's talk more about that on the other side of the break. Student loans. Let's talk about different options when it comes to bankruptcy. Don't bury your head in the sand. Make the call. Consumer hotline 813-917-1894. Give us a call. Let us know how we can help you. 917-1894. And also the top 5 most controversial court verdicts of all time, and more from our expert contributors. Intelligent Talk Radio, helping you win in any marketplace, giving you that helicopter view of the market here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Forbes Riley, celebrity TV fitness host and creator of The Spin Gym. I'm here today with Brandon Rhymes, and you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Great ways to get happy, healthy, and wealthy.
Don't forget, Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Visit realestateradiotampa.com or text the word VALUE to their consumer advocacy hotline at 813-917-1894. Call Brandon today, 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show. Want to give a big shout out to Healthy Gourmet, Felicia Lacaille. Healthy Gourmet, $90 a week for multiple meals delivered 3 times a week, up to 10 meals for $90. So it's a great opportunity to have fresh, delivered food to your home or office, organic veggies, natural proteins delivered 3 times a week. And Felicia Lacaille, longtime friend of the program here. Also, the Maids Cleaning Service. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. Big shout out to the Maids Cleaning Service, 24-hour, 100% satisfaction guaranteed. The Maids Cleaning Service, they are referred for a reason. Also, a reminder, check out our book on Amazon, Become the MVP in Your Industry by Surfing the Radio Waves. We'd love for you to check it out and to help you understand more about starting your own podcast, your own broadcast radio show, TV show, and in the process of franchising that process nationwide. So some interesting stuff here around the Quarterback Show. In studio, attorney Gregory St. Jour, criminal defense attorney, the St. Jour Law Firm, as well as attorney Ahmad Yakzan. He's an immigration attorney here, American Dream Law Office, as well as attorney Shawn Yesner, bankruptcy and real estate attorney here in Tampa Bay. So, Shawn, back to you. You know, we're talking about student loans, bankruptcy. It's a big problem.
Yeah. So the other big development in the student loan arena here is this whole class action against Navient. So those who don't know, Navient used to be Sallie Mae. And so the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was basically created as a result of the mortgage meltdown that we had a few years ago, they targeted Navient, and then now some private attorneys have picked up on that and targeted Navient with a class action lawsuit, basically around how loan payments were applied, how Navient serviced the loans and applying payments that people would make. Did they hold them for too long before applying them and cause late charges and all that kind of stuff? So for any of your listeners that had Sallie Mae as their student loan company or have Navient as their student loan company, if they have questions, give us a call and we'll walk them through if there's anything that can be done. Should they be part of the class action? Are they part of the class action? I personally am not part of the class action in terms of an attorney, but I've been researching it, reviewing it, and so again, if it's something that we can help with, certainly we will.
Yeah, absolutely. So you think about bankruptcy. You want to add something there?
Shawn, I have a question. I know you read out of the decision on Orlando, and it seems a little very specific.
It is very specific
because people who have federal loans, this doesn't apply to them, right?
Correct. I think what the court picked up on was that it was an unaccredited school, and so if it's an unaccredited school, they're probably not going to qualify for any federal loan programs, and so it's not going to be federally guaranteed. And so those were the two prongs that the court picked up on and mentioned in its decision: not a federally backed loan, government-backed loan, and an unaccredited school.
So let's say someone goes to an non-accredited law school, for example, and gets private loans in the United States. You'll be able to help them probably under that narrow decision, right?
Under the terms of that case, yeah, I probably could. I mean, it's going to be really fact-specific until we continue to eat away at it, or if Congress decides to pick up the ball and do something here.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting. So let's go ahead and jump into this. The top 5 most controversial court verdicts of all time. So anybody want to take a stab? Number 5, we're talking a little bit.
We tried before the show. We didn't heat.
All right, number 5 was Casey Anthony. Crazy story out of Orlando. Kate killed her daughter, allegedly killed her daughter. Number 4, Sam Bell trial. Remember that one? Sam Bell trial?
No.
Killed by a
Which
New York
one was
police
that?
officer outside a club in Queens.
Oh, okay.
And number 3, this is a big one involving an old football player.
OJ. Which one, though?
The OJ trial. Yeah, which one?
Which one? Was it the memorabilia?
I was in law school when the OJ trial started. I was a first year in law school, and so we had a competition amongst our first year law class to see who could reference OJ as precedent in an argument, but it had to be either to a professor or during a mock trial competition.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, I didn't win, but we tried.
Yeah, hey, it's all about the
Professors
effort, right?
didn't like us very much for doing it, but we tried.
So, yeah, the OJ trial, that was a big one. And number 2, Rodney King, 1991, bystander, several police officers brutally beating. And then number 1 is the Oscar Grant verdict. That's an interesting. I didn't see that one.
Oh, wow.
That was in 2009. There was a police recording killing an unarmed man, and so it goes on and talked about how he got sentenced. He got involuntary manslaughter, and then he ended up having a 2-year prison sentence, and he only served 1 year. So there's your top 5 most controversial court verdicts of all time.
Interestingly, in the Casey Anthony case, that actually bled into bankruptcy court as well, because Casey ended up filing bankruptcy because all of the companies that there was a company in particular that their job was to go out and coordinate the search efforts. And I think she ran up like a 6-figure bill with that company, hundreds of thousands of dollars with that company searching for her daughter. And so they filed suit against her trying to recoup all that money that they had incurred. So she ended up filing bankruptcy, and there was a big argument in bankruptcy court as to whether her ability to write, Casey Anthony's ability to write a book about what happened, was an asset that the bankruptcy court could monetize to use to pay back creditors. And so I think they ended up settling. I think Casey Anthony ended up paying some money to the bankruptcy trustee in exchange for a release of her ability to write a book about what happened, and then they used that money to pay off some of her creditors.
So she did write the book, and that money was used for the...
I don't think she's written the book yet, or maybe she's working on it, but it was her ability to write the book was what the trustee considered an asset in the bankruptcy case.
She was actually back in the news last week. That she said something. I think she had her first interview. I'm not sure.
I want to say I saw something like that too. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our lightning round. Lightning round. Top tips, things to do, things to avoid. Attorney Gregory St. Jour, you're up first, sir.
Top tips: if you're approached by an officer, you want to give your name, provide your ID, and keep the interaction as limited as possible, and call an attorney at your first chance.
Yeah, and you can say, "Hey, I've just plead the fifth. I don't want to answer any more questions."
That is correct.
Okay, excellent. Okay, Attorney Ahmad, Yakzan, immigration law.
Have you guys seen the United video from last night?
Oh, I heard about it. Somebody just told me about that.
So now you know how every Arabic man has been feeling for a while. So if someone on an airplane tells you to actually leave, especially if you're a minority, do it for God's sake, please. I mean, you're going to, they're not going to be friendly to you.
Yeah,
I'm saying that from experience.
Is the backstory what I heard? I was over visiting Steve over at Replenish IV, getting some nutrients in his vitamin pack. But he told me, "Hey, have you seen that video?" He told me about it, and it sounded like they, how they will overbook the flights, and they say, "Okay, so anybody volunteer, we'll give you a little voucher, give you a little money off the next one." And apparently, no one did. So then they started putting numbers in a hat. Pulled the guy's number. He says, "No, I'm not getting out.
Well,
I got to be somewhere."
The problem, they actually boarded the people before they tried to do that, and the other problem is that they weren't overbooked for a reason. They actually were trying to get a crew to another city, one of their own crews,
So
to go for them to actually fly.
Wow.
And I mean, it's terrible.
That is terrible.
That's why I think we need a consumer kind of bill of rights, which we tried to pass 5 years ago and didn't pass. But
Yeah, not enough money on that side maybe. But but that guy's gonna probably own a piece of United.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think he will.
Shawn Yesner.
So I would say save everything, especially this day and age where you can scan everything, convert it to digital. Save your receipts, save proof that you made your payments to your creditors, save contracts that you may or may not have signed to incur certain debts. Save all that stuff, scan it into the computer, put it into a folder on the computer marked important stuff or whatever you want to do, but save all that stuff, because when a dispute happens, that's all the stuff I'm going to want to see to help you resolve that dispute.
Yeah, my tip today is if you're a business owner or manager, someone looking to grow a business, you got to come out and check out our free event. It's a free digital marketing and business growth seminar on Friday, April 21st, right here at iHeartRadio in South Tampa, 4002 West Gandy. It's 3 to 5:30. Come out and learn more to earn more, how you can dominate your competition online, how to rank online, how to use retargeting. You ever been online, you see the pair of Nike Airs, Jordans following you around, or that suit you're looking at, it follows you around? That's called targeting and retargeting. And so we got a free business seminar here. Accelerate your success, Friday, April 21st, 3 to 5:30, right here at iHeartRadio. And then we're taking it over to Hula Bay Bay, our official restaurant partner, and we're going to have a happy hour over there. Great networking. We're going to have a lot of great business owners here from the Tampa Bay market, helping you win in any marketplace. That's the goal of our show, and we're going to help you understand more about all of your decisions relating, giving that helicopter view of the marketplace. And we got the free events that we're doing, those community outreach events that we're doing, and you got to RSVP though. How can you RSVP? Real simple. Go to consumerqb.com, click the contact form, and submit the form. The contact form, submit the form. Let us know you're RSVPing for the free event, and then we're going to have the Hula Bay happy hour afterwards. That's Friday, April 21st, 3 o'clock, right here at iHeart Radio Station in beautiful South Tampa, Florida. I want to thank Attorney Gregory St. Jour. I want to thank Attorney Ahmad Yakzan and Attorney Shawn Yesner for coming in the studio and educating our listeners out there. And please engage us with any questions that you have, comments, concerns, and please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness, something as simple as packing up leftover food you may have, handing it to that person that you see in need, and be a force for good in the community. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
Don't forget, Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Visit realestateradiotampa.com or text the word VALUE to their consumer advocacy hotline at 813-917-1894. Call Brandon today, 813-917-1894.